here feels in the midst of what's happening right now in your life and collectively, who here feels that you can touch on the wellness inside of you? Ah, okay, let's take that in and breathe that in. Yeah, isn't that beautiful? The original topic was the gifts of spiritual practice, and so right now we get to reap the gifts of spiritual practice. Would you agree? I mean, why are we even doing this? All this personal work on ourselves and clearing out the content, opening up to what might be true within all that is arising, what is always true. And this isn't the first crisis that we've been through individually, right? I mean, this is maybe the first crisis in our lifetime that we've been through collectively on this scale. And there are other crises, but it hasn't been perhaps so in our face, like climate crisis affects us all, right? And is about the whole. But it's almost like um, this virus is kind of like an invitation to meet ourselves and realize our collective, um, enter into the collective whole more consciously and deeply, because it's so in our face, like literally. And as much as it would be nice to continue life as usual, prior to this, and I feel for all the people who are suffering, have suffered, and will suffer. We don't know who it will be here, even, right? I'm also aware, and perhaps you are as well, of, like that symbol of the I Ching of crisis is also opportunity. You've heard of that? There are two sides to that symbol. In the I Ching, crisis opens up opportunity. And in my lifetime, I mean, this is also new, it's like a daily thing, right? In my lifetime, I don't think I've ever encountered something where we're having to really think of one another to such a degree. It's almost like uh, a lot of the crisis, nuclear arms crisis, the climate crisis, poverty, the suffering around the world. It's like it exists, but perhaps for you, it exists elsewhere, and our compassion can rise and feel into it. But this is like so, as I said, in our face. And it's like there's nowhere really to hide. I find that fascinating. I'm not saying good, but I find it fascinating and interesting. Do you all know where I'm going with this? No. Good. Yes. Some most yes, some no's. That's fine. Good. Do I know where I'm going with this? I guess it's an alive in the moment thing where we're going with this. To me, it feels like the boundaries of our personal boundaries and our, family boundary, our town boundary, our state line boundary, our country boundary is collapsed. It's going, and I think that's what's I find so fascinating and interesting. And it's like it's erasing the the chance to really imagine that there's a place to hide from our collective whole. And just sit with that for a minute. And it's sort of like this wonder that arises within me, and perhaps within you. We can feel into it together, along and to honor side by side any fear that might be arising. Okay? I mean, it's natural to feel fear from such an unknown. So I'd like to include fear in our conversation together, and not pretend that it's not here, because even if it's to a minimal degree within you, because it just depends on how your body is and your consciousness and all that. Not a hierarchy, okay? Just like some people run more fear than others. It's just the way it is. But the truth is that collectively, in the collective, there's a lot of fear, right? Just acknowledging that. I like to start with like reality, and then go from there, because if you allow things to be as they are and go, yeah, yeah, okay, I feel fear, I don't know if it's mine or the collective, who cares, it's here. Maybe that's part of what's happening, is the personal boundaries are dissolving. So then it's just like, okay, that's a part of the picture. And then take a breath and see what else is part of the picture. Do you see? And we do this almost every meeting that we have, right? I talk about including something, because then we can stop negotiating with it, with fear, stop wanting to run away from it and avoid it, and spiritualize it and say, whatever. Or even have a story about it, like I'm less evolved than I thought because there's fear here. If I was really empty and clear, there would be no fear. What's wrong with me? You know. I'm just thinking suddenly of the bodhisattva vow. The to vow. They vow to remain here until every last one of us is liberated. Right. I wonder if that includes animals. They'll be here a long time, but I mean, animals actually are quite pure, aren't they? Um, it, the truth is, we all are involved with the bodhisattva vow, whether we're conscious of it or not, because we are that. We are the divine. And as that, of course it's here until every part of itself is liberated and made conscious. To me, that's what liberated is making things conscious, right? So fear is something that is wanting to really be felt and into. Feeling a lot of energy in my belly. Who else is feeling energy in their belly right now? Ah, yeah. Okay, so this is like Good. If we were all together in a room and we weren't afraid of getting the virus, which I'm not really actually that afraid of. I mean, if it comes, it comes, right? I'll do what I can to take care of myself, and I hope you do too. But I don't want to live in fear. But if we were all together in a room, I would say I would put some music on and have us dance and move and not just talk, and move and say, okay, what is your body feeling right now? And what is it saying? How would it like to express itself? Because there's intelligence there and it knows what it needs. And let's make some noise. Let's make some sounds together. Let it out. And then in the end, after we're all like maybe tired out, sit down in a circle and hold hands and be quiet and feel our hearts and feel the human connection and how valid it is and real it is to feel these human feelings of fear and concern, love for one's family and for one's friends and one's neighbors, and concern even. Feel maybe the powerlessness. Even if we try to do all the things that we're said we're supposed to do, we're really ultimately powerless to something like a virus. At the same time, we are what we are, right? And we're going to be maintaining our level of consciousness through this. Yeah, Spencer says we can virtually hold hands right now. Yeah, if that feels good to you to do, and if it doesn't, that's fine. But if it feels good to you to hold hands right now energetically with one another, you can even imagine who you'd like to hold hands with next to you. See, this is the possibility of something like this, is to be honest with one's human emotion that's arising, okay? And feel the fragility and vulnerability that it can evoke a crisis like this, okay? And it's not just the virus per se, really. It's the all that's coming with it is what's really in the air. The what's happening economically and just in your own maybe local store, how people are feeling. And I can feel how we as a collective can ping pong between denial and fear. And then let's have a third ping pong with those who feel like they have a place inside that is able to be empty within it, and then ping pong to that all is well place. Who here kind of feels all three things happening? Right? Isn't it cool just to speak truth? Let's just speak truth. It's like, "Oh my god, what is there something I should be doing I don't, maybe more of?" To, "I'm fine, everything's fine, if I die, I die, jeez," life knows what it's doing, and me as life, why get involved with all this fear? And then our nervous system, perhaps your nervous system, is feeling the, collective heightened, "Woo," like that, like in the nerves, "Woo." And you know what's interesting that's happening with me, and maybe you can relate. I feel like I was feeling this bef- before it happened. I see some head noddings. Like, what's going on? There's something, coming or something in the air. It's intense or whatever. And now that this is happening, there's a calmness. It's like, oh, that makes sense. A few people have told me that their experience as well. It's like when the mind body starts to actually gain understanding of why it's feeling the way it is, you know? There's a understanding can bring a lot of just sort of an ease, because we're made actually to know how to meet crisis. I mean, it's been happening since the dawn of humanity, different times of crisis, right?